My name is Dr. Lauren Ellis, and I was told not to come home for Christmas. The call came 3 days before Christmas. I had just gotten home from a long shift at the hospital, already exhausted but still smiling as I looked at the packed bag by my door. I had bought gifts for everyone, including the rosemary stuffing ingredients they always asked for, though they never remembered I was the one who made it. I even bought a new forest green sweater. Soft, simple, festive, but not trying too hard. Just enough when my phone buzzed and I saw my younger brother Blake's name. I assumed he was calling to ask if I could bring extra napkins or coordinate carpooling like every other year. But instead, he said, "Hey, so listen. Savannah's coming to Christmas, right? She's really into energy like how a room feels. And with your work, sometimes it can feel kind of heavy. I think for her sake, it might be better if you sat this one out. It's nothing personal." I didn't argue. I didn't ask what he meant by heavy. He didn't say, "You're a dedicated geriatric doctor who helps people die with dignity." No, just heavy. Like a wet towel on his Instagram aesthetic. An hour later, my mom called. Her voice was soft like a lullaby hiding a grenade. "Honey, we're just trying to make this easy for everyone. You know how sensitive she is. If you come, it could cause confusion. Honestly, we might not answer the door." That was the moment I knew I wasn't just not invited, I was unwanted. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply said, "Okay." Hung up and opened my banking app. Mortgage payment canceled, car loan top-up frozen. Emergency maintenance fund locked. I stopped being their silent backbone. No social media post, no message. Just silence. And for the first time, that silence was mine. I used to think the way my family treated me was normal. That maybe I was just too serious, too focused, too much. Growing up, I was the oldest. The trial run, as my dad once joked at a barbecue right before handing Blake the bigger slice of cake. Blake, the golden boy. Creative, charming, the miracle baby born after years of trying. I was just first. When Blake was 6, he drew all over the living room wall with a permanent marker. My parents called it expressive. When I broke a bowl while helping set the table, I was careless and told I needed to pay more attention. Blake came home from school with a participation ribbon once it stayed on the fridge for a week. I brought home straight A's and they said, "That's nice," then slid the report card into a drawer, once. I even left my perfect GPA letter on the kitchen counter, hoping someone would ask. No one did. When I got accepted to medical school first round, no gap year, no second tries, I printed the acceptance letter and showed it to my mom. She said, "Wow, that's intense. You'll have to be careful not to burn out." When Blake dropped out of college for the third time to pursue creative direction, they threw him a re-entry party, balloons, cake, a photo of him with a paintbrush. Now sits framed in the hallway like he cured cancer. They always said he was artsy, but he felt things deeply. I once found my sketchbook in the recycling bin under grocery store flyers. When I asked, they said they thought it was scrap paper, but I kept going. I worked hard. I graduated early. I got licensed. I started treating elderly patients, people who had been dismissed, forgotten, left to decline alone. I gave them my time, my energy, my whole heart. At home, I gave just as quietly. Fixed their plumbing. Paid off a lingering home repair bill without being asked. Lent Blake money when his freelance gig fell through. Never asked for it back. Never even mentioned it, but none of that mattered because in my family's eyes, Blake was the star. And I, despite everything, was just the one who always showed up on time and didn't complain until I didn't. There's a strange kind of pain in being the person everyone relies on, but no one really sees. That was me, the fixer. The helper. The one who quietly covered the cost of a new water heater when theirs broke down in February. The one who spotted the overdraft on my parents' account and transferred money before they even noticed. The one who booked Blake's flight home for Thanksgiving last year when he said he was a little strapped after buying new camera equipment, and I never said no. Not once, not when my mom needed co-pays for her physical therapy. Not when Blake called me from the side of the road because his car battery had died again. I bought him a new one that week. I was useful. And I thought that meant I was valued, but I started noticing the pattern. The way my contributions were invisible until they stopped. The way they forgot who had helped but remembered who had made things uncomfortable. When I was there, I was too quiet, too serious, too intense. When I wasn't there, things were lighter, easier, more fun. Still, I kept helping. Out of love, I told myself. Out of obligation, maybe. Or maybe just out of habit, but that night after they told me not. To come to Christmas, something inside me shifted. It wasn't rage. It was realization. The morning after I was disinvited, I woke up early out of habit. I made coffee. Black, no sugar, the way Dad drinks it. I didn't cry, I didn't call anyone. I just sat in my kitchen listening to the quiet and realized how unfamiliar peace felt when it wasn't laced with the expectation to prove myself. Christmas morning came. I didn't check my phone. I didn't post a selfie in the green sweater or share a reel of opening presents. I didn't try to prove I was fine. I simply lived. I walked to the park, brought a thermos of cider, and sat on a bench watching kids play tag while their parents sipped cocoa. I thought of my patients. The ones who spent their holidays alone, who lit fake candles and shared rooms because real ones were a fire hazard. I thought about how I used to visit them after dinner, bringing cookies I baked the night before. That afternoon, I did something I've never done. I turned off my phone and booked a solo trip, a small coastal town. A bed and breakfast with a garden and an old dog named Walter. I brought books I hadn't opened in years, not textbooks. Real ones, stories with characters who weren't obligated to prove their worth. While I was gone, I heard through a colleague that Blake's girlfriend, Savannah, got food poisoning. Apparently, it was the rosemary stuffing. Blake tried to make it, but forgot to refrigerate the sausage. The energy was weird, she reportedly said. My mother texted me later, "We missed you." I didn't respond. When I returned home, the world hadn't ended. No one had collapsed from my absence. The family group chat was quiet. I could tell they were waiting for me to break the silence, to fix it like I always did. But I didn't, and something amazing happened. I felt free. Not angry, not bitter, just untethed. It took nearly 60 years, but I finally understood. That love without respect is just obligation in a prettier coat. That being the backbone of a family doesn't mean you must bend until you break. That you can walk away not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. Now I answer when I want. 2. I visit when I'm welcome, not just when I'm needed. I stopped funding the machine that ran on my silence. Blake eventually paid me back for the battery Venmo, one word. Thanks. I never replied. Sometimes we are so desperate to be chosen that we forget we have a choice too, and I chose me. Have you ever been the strong one until it broke? You? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe for more real, raw stories like this. Because sometimes the quietest goodbye is the most powerful.